Welcome to the Digital Marketing News. I'm Tiffani Allen.
And with your first story this week, I am Joshua Nite.
Yes.
Hey, we've talked a lot about audio content recently. Have you noticed this?
Yes.
We're into podcasts. We're into listening to playlists. You know, nobody makes a mixtape anymore, which is a lost art, which is kind of sad. But what a lot of people are listening to, the Spotify.
Go on.
I call it the Spotify's.
True.
Actually, but no, people are being spotted on Spotify at an alarming rate. The platform currently has 217 million users, so this is something that marketers are starting to take notice of. In addition to having all these users, they have a lot of insights on said users. For example, if someone likes to listen to ear-splitting Mexican techno at midnight, not that I do or know anyone who does, that Spotify would know.
Yes.
And if that was your target demographic, you could hit them. So really, the story that came out recently was just highlighting the fitness of Spotify as an advertising platform, and I think it's worth checking out. You know, they have people who are also on there listening to podcasts that can be advertised to. 64% of Americans, 15 to 38, listen to Spotify, so that's a lot of people if you're looking to check out that particular demographic. So I would say, if you're a marketer, and I hope that you are, or this show is going to be baffling and boring to you. If you are a marketer, I'd say Spotify is definitely worth a look these days.
I like it.
Yeah.
I usually just listen to Toto. Does that count? Am I a demographic?
The dog?
No. Oh, that's a good plan, though. Next time. So, other things that are new, Josh. Search Console from the Google.
The Google.
So if you've been in there lately, you might have noticed some changes. A couple things to say goodbye to. For example, the home and the dashboard pages. Pour one out for your homies when you can. Just Google's making room for more comprehensive new reports. We covered this a couple of weeks ago. So if you haven't been in there in a while, check it out. You can also still see the legacy view, legacy tools and reports in the help center to see, you know, what's left. But of course, Google is always changing the way that they are helping us report better. So as always, get in there, get familiar with it, or, you know, enlist some help from someone who knows how.
And do not mourn the Google that once was. Celebrate the Google that is yet to be.
True.
Perhaps the real Google was the friends that we made along the way.
Sounds
The real Google is a billion-dollar corporation that is making lots of money monetizing our thoughts and feelings. But I love them, and I hope nothing bad ever happens to me because of my deep and abiding love for them.
Fair.
Love it. Yeah. Speaking of which, how do consumers really feel about ads? I mean, when people, not you in particular, I'm sorry, but you're not like a demographic sample. You know, when people stop being polite and start being real, how they really feel. So I want to talk a bit about the Edelman Trust Barometer.
Yes, please do.
A little thing that happens every year, and this year's just came out. And specifically people talking about how well they trust or enjoy the ads that we so lovingly craft for them.
Yes.
So overall, they love it. No, they, okay. Well, 48% of folks are using ad block right now. That's up from 38% last year. So we are seeing that continue to creep up. 47% said they have changed media habits to see less advertising. That's up 6 points from last year. 39%, up 5 points from last year, have found ways to avoid almost all ads.
Wow.
So, not great news for people who make ads. My solution to that is don't make ads. Because if something is relevant, interesting, entertaining, provokes an emotional response, is something that people want to see, it ceases to be the kind of thing that they're going to want to block.
Yes.
So in addition to trying to find new ways to be on platforms in unobtrusive ways and unblockable ways, like sponsored content, for example, influencer content, we can also work on making our ads the very best they can be.
Yes.
And then people will celebrate them instead of blocking them.
Or at least click on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people celebrate ads. Sometimes, you know, something goes viral and they're like, oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, Wendy's Twitter, you know.
Yeah, that's fair. You're right. So speaking of places where ads live sometimes, good segue.
Yeah.
We found out what works best for brands on Instagram.
It's pronounced Instagram.
Fair. So Quintly studied 34,000 businesses and 5.4 million posts and found these items.
What did they find?
They found
Oh.
videos get 49% more engagement than images.
Oh my.
Yeah, yeah. Carousels get 25% more engagement than images. So multiple images better than one.
Right, okay.
Right. If you have more than 1 million followers, captionless posts get the most engagement. For the rest of us, caption between 1 and 50 characters.
Just like a single letter, but really make it an authentic, transparent storytelling letter.
All of my captions will be K.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone loves that.
Not even JK?
Nope. So there's a direct correlation as well between emoji use and engagement, which we found interesting.
Yeah, more tiny pictures, the more people like it.
Yeah, tiny pictures, big pictures, all of it together. And the larger you're following, the larger your audience, use fewer hashtags, which makes sense because hashtags are a search functionality. So if folks already know how to find you, you don't necessarily need to dominate any other conversations.
Makes a lot of sense. So pretty pictures, hashtags, and more pictures are better than one. A bunch of tiny pictures moving together in a video kind of thing. Even the best thing.
K.
Turns out. So more stats though. Do you know what demographic is using Instagram a whole lot?
I bet I do.
Well, millennials. But Gen Z is also using them a bunch. And I found a bunch of really interesting Gen Z marketing statistics to share with you.
Go on.
First, if you're like me, you go, hey, why are we worried about marketing to toddlers?
Fair.
But did you know the oldest Gen Z folks are 24?
No.
So yeah, I know. So they're out of college, they're in the workforce. Some of them are going to be those decision influencers for B2B. Some of them are going to be decision makers very soon. So we need to know what they want. And it turns out, well, first I should say, by 2020, they're going to be 40% of all consumers. So even if you're B2C, maybe pay a little attention. They have $44 billion of their own buying power right now.
Wow.
And if you count the buying power of their parents, as some are still doing, that's $600 billion. So we got to pay attention to these folks.
It's a lot, yeah.
So one thing that I thought was super interesting, though, is Gen Z are still using email. We've talked about email a lot. Email is one of my passion points. They are still using email to 58% check it multiple times a day.
Wow.
They also say they're open to brand emails as frequently as a couple of times a week, the majority said. The interesting thing I thought, though, is only 14.4% said that work is their primary use for email.
Really?
So it's not just a work thing. They are actually still checking email. They're not just on Kik or WeChat or any TikTok or any of those weird, Blastly. That's not one, but it could be.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
For all you know.
Well, what they're doing with their emails,
What are they
Josh? So 82% said they prefer promos and discounts from brands, so that's through email, other communications. 42% said they like product recommendations.
If they're personalized.
If they're personalized. Only 20% say links to blogs and other resources are like getting it for them, Yeah, so social media is our preferred channel to engage with brands. Company blogs are the lowest. Makes sense, I suppose. If they're not looking for links, right?
That's a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
Is that owned media of the blog, they're not super into.
Make it a little more exciting, maybe. Add a carousel and a caption. 2/3 make at least one purchase per month directly from seeing a product on social media.
Which makes a lot of sense for that demo, for sure.
Yep, I mean, I do. And 2/3 make at least one purchase per month from email as well.
I found that surprising.
I
too,
know.
That people who are like this big are, I'm sorry, you're that big. People who are this big are getting emails and they're buying stuff.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Okay.
Okay, well, I
Good
suppose
stuff.
I do it all the time. Anyway, that is all the news we have for you today. You can check more news out on the blog at toprankblog.com. You can follow TopRank on Twitter at TopRank or follow me at Tiffani_Allen.
Yep, you can find me on Twitter at NiteWrites. That's NITEWRITES. And please make sure to subscribe to the blog and to this YouTube channel for even more cool stuff.
And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.